Reinstatement processes. From administrative suspension, inactive, or retired status, 3 years or less. Are you an attorney whose license has been administratively suspended, inactive, or retired for less than 3 years, and you wish to be reinstated to active status? Request the appropriate forms for reinstatement to active status by emailing, calling, or writing the Attorney Registration Office. Complete and return the forms along with full payment of all outstanding fees as noted on the forms. After review of the submitted forms and payment, the request for reinstatement is able to be processed by the Attorney Registration staff. Upon processing of the submitted payment, your status will be updated to active. For more reinstatement information, visit www.padisciplinaryboard.org. From administrative suspension, inactive, or retired status, more than 3 years. Are you an attorney who has been administratively suspended, inactive, or retired for more than 3 years and want to petition for reinstatement to active status? Within 1 year prior to filing your petition for reinstatement, you must complete the required CLE courses. Once the required courses have been completed, you must file by mail a petition for reinstatement, including all required documents, along with the appropriate filing fees, with a board prothonotary. Instructions for filing your petition can be found within the special reinstatement questionnaire. A list of all required documents and CLE requirements can also be found within the questionnaire. Please note that the reinstatement process takes several months and involves multiple stages of review. Once a complete petition for reinstatement is received by mail, the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, or ODC, will review your petition and conduct an investigation into your fitness to practice law. Following review and investigation, ODC will file a response that will either certify that there is no impediment to reinstatement or object to reinstatement describing the reasons for objection. If there is no impediment to reinstatement found by ODC, the disciplinary board chair will designate a board member to review the case. After review, the board member will issue a report either recommending reinstatement or describing concerns regarding your fitness to practice law. If reinstatement is recommended, the case proceeds to adjudication by the Supreme Court. Only if there is objection to reinstatement by either ODC or the board will the case be scheduled for hearing before a designated hearing committee member, where you must demonstrate that you have the moral qualifications, competency, and learning in the law required to practice. The hearing committee member will issue a report and recommendation in favor or for denial of reinstatement. Following a hearing, the board will review the entire record of the case before preparing their report, which will be filed with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court concludes the matter by either granting or denying reinstatement. At any time prior to Supreme Court adjudication, the petitioner may submit a request to withdraw their petition. If the Supreme Court grants reinstatement, in order to be placed on active status, you must pay any associated costs and fees, as well as submit the required attorney registration forms. Applicable forms, including sample forms and other reinstatement information, can be found at www.padisciplinaryboard.org. From suspension for 1 year or less. Are you an attorney who has been suspended for 1 year or less by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and want to be reinstated? Once the term of your suspension has expired, you must file a verified statement demonstrating that you have complied with the terms and conditions of the order of suspension and of Enforcement Rule 217 with a board prothonotary. After the board prothonotary certifies your compliance to the Supreme Court, an order of reinstatement will be issued. In order to be placed on active status, you may be required to submit attorney registration forms and payment. Additional reinstatement information can be found at www.padisciplinaryboard.org. From disbarment, suspension of more than 1 year, or disability inactive status. Are you an attorney who has been disbarred, suspended for more than 1 year, or transferred to disability inactive status by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and want to petition for reinstatement? You must file a petition for reinstatement, including all required documents, along with the appropriate filing fees, by mail with a board prothonotary. Instructions for filing your petition can be found within the Reinstatement questionnaire. A list of all required documents and CLE requirements can also be found within the questionnaire. Any outstanding obligation to the board must be satisfied prior to filing the petition. The Office of Disciplinary Counsel will review your petition and conduct its investigation into your fitness to practice law and file a response. The matter is then scheduled for hearing before a hearing committee, where you must demonstrate that you have the moral qualifications, competency, and learning in the law, and that the resumption of practice will not be detrimental to the integrity of the bar nor subversive of the public interest. However, if you are petitioning from disability inactive status, your burden is to provide clear and convincing evidence that your disability has been removed and you are fit to resume the practice of law. Both parties may file briefs with the hearing committee, setting forth proposed findings of fact, conclusions of law, and a suggested disposition. The hearing committee will issue a report and recommendation in favor or for denial of reinstatement. Both parties may then file briefs on exceptions to the hearing committee report. They also may file opposing exceptions in response to the other party's brief. Either party may also request oral argument to be heard before a panel of disciplinary board members. The disciplinary board will adjudicate the matter and file a written recommendation with the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. The Supreme Court concludes the matter by either granting or denying reinstatement. If the Supreme Court grants reinstatement, in order to be placed on active status, you must pay any associated costs and fees, as well as submit the required attorney registration forms. Applicable forms, including sample forms and other reinstatement information, can be found at www.padisciplinaryboard.org.